Travis, Sarah, Josh, hey, congratulations for A Wounded Fawn.
Thank you.
Thanks so much.
This is one of those wonderful horror films. After watching it, you it's just ingrained in your head. All these images, from start to finish. But let me ask Travis first. Travis, where did this idea came from for A Wounded Fawn?
Well, the original story came in a script from Nathan Fodry, which was a guy and a girl go to a cabin and he tries to kill her and the Furies show up. What the movie is, the sort of weirdness and the abstractness and the art and all that crazy shit. I don't know. The universe said, "Hey, what about this? What about this? What about this? What about this?" And we were just vessels for that intangible creative impulse. I don't know.
Wow. Sarah, what initially drew you to this character, Meredith, for this film? Because it's almost like you're playing, I want to say, two different characters.
Yeah, I mean that part's exciting. The different set pieces were exciting. The aesthetic of the whole thing was really of interest to me. I like that she wasn't coming into this completely naive, that she had good reason to notice some red flags, and I think also had, good reason to, or good justifications for deciding that's okay, I can keep going with this guy who's charming her. And I like where it ends up and the trajectory she takes in seeking justice. Yeah.
Josh, I'm coming up to you next, is because I've only seen you in really funny, hilarious movies. You do wonderful comedies, but I don't know. I feel like you channeled like Robin Williams, and comedians make the best psychos in these films. So
Uh,
tell us about why you wanted to play Bruce and how you approached this character.
that is such a massive compliment because as a huge Robin Williams fan from Aladdin, from being a little kid, but through all the comedic hits, and then to see him do like the delicious mind fuck of seeing him jump into Insomnia and 1 Hour Photo. Um, and also today seeing people like Mark Duplass and Creep and other comedic actors, they're more even escaping me just to kind of mention too many to mention. That's why it was so exciting. You get to play someone truly scary, to get to play seductive, to get to kind of have whatever my venture as a comedian into playing the villain. What's more appealing than that? You can't pin me down. That's the most, I think, exciting thing. For me, certainly as an artist, that I could do. It's like, no, you can't figure out what I'm gonna do next. It's a major testament to Travis for trusting me to do it.
So Josh, how did you get into that headspace and get it? And was it easy to get out of it?
It was too easy to get into it. It was because it was so fun. The whole thing was about taking swings. I think too, what why I was so eagerly excited to get into it, besides having a brilliant scene partner and Sarah, with every scene where we're truly listening to each other, the intimidation and psycho of it all, was that it's really saying something phenomenal. This is a story about the most ruthless kind of sociopathic, egotistical, toxic male, and no amount of fright, fear, and terror can get him to admit his wrongs, and that's so squirmily relevant, but also so cathartic to see enacted. And I hope people walk away with that, besides enjoying the roller coaster of it all.
Most excellent. And Sarah, I mean, you have to get into different headspaces yourself with Meredith, victim, and then reversing all of that. How easy was it for you to approach that character?
Very, very easy. I felt like I understood Meredith very well, even as sort of Meredith Tisiphone. And that's another thing that like was exciting when I read her, where I was just like, I get her. I get what she's going through. I get what she went through, and I get what she's trying to do here. Even as Tisiphone, you know, just sort of being like, I'm not gonna let you get away with this. Like, I'm not gonna hurt you. She doesn't really do anything physical to Bruce, but she's just like, I'm not gonna I'm not gonna accept this bullshit apology or whatever nonsense he throws at her. So I was like, yeah, I get that. This will be fun.
Travis, when you approach a film like this, did you just basically look at it like a straight up horror movie, or do you try to play, you know, sort of like mind games on both the characters and the audiences?
And the way I talked to the crew about it was, I said, don't think of it as a horror film, think of it as a fashion film, where we're going to live in the details of this world that we create as if we were showcasing a dress or an outfit. Sometimes literally in terms of the costume design, but even in terms of production design, makeup, creature design, the gore effects, all of it was about each department's contributions to the film and highlighting that and really living with that and presenting that to the audience in a way that in a standard horror film maybe they don't get that much shine. You know, but this is just, you know, we're like super horror fans. We watch a lot of horror movies. We make a lot of horror movies. So that was the starting point for this one. Was, well, what can we do that's a little different than what we've done before, what we've seen before? And so that was the sort of operating modus operandi.
Could you tell us about these costumes that is presented in this film and what nightmares that came out of?
Yeah, I mean, so there had been in the script references to a number of surrealist female painters. The costume designer Eric Berggren is really a fine artist who creates sculptures, clothing sculptures, where he will grow the material out of crystals and lay it on. Like he's more magician than tailor, and so the mix of sort of these surrealist paintings and his interpretation of them is sort of how we ended up with the final imagery that's in the film. Because it's a story that's being shown through the perspective of the characters, it was wide open for interpretation of sort of how Bruce would perceive these Araneas. And so we tried to sort of have distinct looks for each character, and it was a really fun sort of process of, what about this? Okay, what about this with that? So yeah, all credit to Eric and his team for constructing something that has resonated so much with people who've seen the film.
So did you feel transformed when you have to put on that mask?
Yeah, definitely. The talking about growing the wardrobe. A significant portion of Tisiphone's dress was made from kombucha. Like, you can make leather from a kombucha SCOBY, which is what he did, and it has a strong smell. So whenever I'd put it on, I'd just be enveloped by this kind of like vinegar scent, earthy vinegar scent. So it was sort of like, all right, here I am back in the swamp of Tisiphone. So yeah, it definitely helped.
Josh, Sarah, how did you two develop your chemistry? You know, for this film, it's almost like, I want to say it's like a special horror dance in its own way. Josh,
we hit it off right away. Sarah and I quite realized, I think, that our sensibilities were similar, just in work ethic and a willingness to play, and that was massively helpful. And then, you know, Travis's producerial brain putting us in, you know, our first scene essentially, and the getting to know you car ride was so smart. that was how we got to spend the day. And I'm also physically driving. It's an intimate scenario. Our DP and AC are in the back, and Sarah's, my other passenger, and we're just kind of chit-chatting in between while getting direction from Travis via walkie-talkie. So it was a really intimate, great kind of first day to get to know each other in that capacity. But the sensibility overlap is everything. You very quickly realize if it's going to be a fun summer camp experience or if it'll be the opposite.
Yeah, I think it also helped that like this isn't like in no reality is this going to be a great love story, and did either of these characters think that it's not a first date, but it's an early date of theirs, so this sort of like nice to be going through those initial stages or to and then to eventually go through something so intimate and ultimately terrible as people who are virtually strangers. I think that's a really interesting factor or facet of the film.
Well, most excellent. And Travis, I have to remark the cinematography here, the camera angles is very unique and very different from a lot. Could you talk a little bit about that?
I'm trying to make movies that elicit an emotional response. So trying to come up with something that has some visual ambition to it. And I had a partner, Kasusha Jenenfeld, who is the DOP on this, and she loves real cinema. I think there's a difference. If you watched a lot of older films, you can see a bit more of that intention in the sort of camera angles in those films, and in your understanding of the impact, how camera angles and edits can sort of create that emotional response is a little more defined, and she has that. And so yeah, it was a lot of fun this particular film, like I said, lives in the details of the world. And so relying so heavily on insert shots and the juxtaposition between insert shots and establishing shots and the characters' reactions to what they're seeing was unique to this film and a lot of fun.
Most excellent. And I want to leave with one more thing, and I'm just curious, was the murder weapon that Josh got to play with, the hand weapon, what exactly is that, and does that actually work?
It's a bog knock, which is historically an assassin's weapon in India, where when they would use it, the victim would look like some tiger had snuck into the tent, and it was a tiger that killed him, not an assassin. So it was a way for Bruce's character to have a very unique murder weapon and a great backstory that, should he ever tell somebody, he would be proud to share. Well, I have this very unique, authentic Indian assassin's tool. That's what I use. A lot of serial killers will use a knife, a rope, or the boring ones like Berkowitz will use a gun. But nobody other than me, Bruce Ernst, has ever used a bog knock to kill women.
Well, congratulations, Josh. You used a bog knock on people, so
I got to use it on more than just other people. Yeah, it was and it's real and it does work.
Well, everyone, congratulations for A Wounded Fawn, coming out on Shudder pretty soon. Hey, thank you very much for carrying this conversation with us. This is a wonderful film, especially for horror aficionados to check it out. Thank you very much.
So
Thanks for checking it out.